ready for another lesson?
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Back Row Banter, your favorite casual movie talk podcast. I am one of your hosts, Adam Schwartz, and on today's episode, we have Nolan's next film announcement, and in addition to the Wonka movie that's coming, we'll get to that in the news. For trailer talk, we have the final Halloween Kills trailer and a new Tom Hanks sci-fi flick. The news streaming is a very light list for the week. We'll get to what we're watching, of course, and then our main review for the episode, Weathering with You. But before we get to any of that, I'm joined today, and as always, with Big Mac Nathaniel Gingrich.
Is that who I am? Big Mac Nathaniel?
Yeah. Big Mac Nathaniel.
I like a Big Mac. Do you like a Big Mac?
I love a Big Mac. It's probably my go-to McDonald's meal. The reason I named you that this week, of course, is the gorgeous, gorgeous Big Mac featured in Weathering with You.
This is true. It's the best looking
that
Big
we've
Mac
had numerous conversations about.
I've ever seen. Tyler, yeah. I couldn't understand what Tyler said there for a second. Sorry, but I like a Big Mac too. And yeah, if you haven't seen Weathering with You, bit of sizzle.
Huge spoiler there. Big Mac plays a big part in the plot of the movie. So sorry for that. Also joining us today, it's Typhoon Ty, Tyler Verdalis.
Sick.
Yeah?
Yeah,
I thought that was
cool
a good one this week.
Yeah, I'm down.
I do like,
it's like your wrestler name.
Ooh.
That's my special move.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
What's the Typhoon move?
I feel like you have to incorporate tailbone somehow.
Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, I kind of want it to be like from the top rope kind of thing, you know?
I feel like, yeah, top rope makes sense. I feel like there should be some kind of like twisting motion. You know,
that's what it brings to mind, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. Typhoon.
Who knows? Maybe it's like a swirling like belly flop.
That'd be
I could
cool.
see it. That would be cool.
Kind of like a starfish, flying through the air.
We'll have to wait for Ty's WWE debut to see it in action. Are you guys big WWE fans? Ever?
Used to be, because my dad liked it when I was a kid, but definitely don't watch it not even close.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was a crazy day when you first found out like that stuff wasn't real.
Yeah.
It's up there with Santa Claus.
Never a WWE guy.
Really?
No.
Not even like remotely into it?
No, I honestly never watched it. I just I don't know if maybe we just didn't have the right channels to get it or something like that, you know? Because I think for a while, wasn't it only on like certain cable stuff, or it was like pay-per-view or something? And like my parents would never let me rent it or something like that. It's not like we like really made a habit of renting sports or anything like that either. So yeah, I just never really got into it.
Fair.
Yeah, I've never been into WWE. My brothers were into it for like a year when I was younger, and that's like the extent of my WWE experience. I've never been into that kind of thing. Well, rounding out the squadron tonight, of course, it's also Big Mac BlakeHolder.
Oh, there's two of us.
Two of us, okay.
I was like, I had to give Nathaniel the Big Mac.
Because it was
we've talked about it so much.
Sure.
But then I got to naming Blake's name for the episode, and we already have to start with Big, obviously, and so I just figured I'd double up.
Okay, so we got the double Big Mac. I'm with it, man.
Yeah, the 2 for $5 value meal.
Yeah.
We used to get the bus into town in York. And the bus tickets had, you would get a Big Mac for £1.50 with the coupon afterwards. That used to be our like night out meal where you just come out and like McDonald's would be like the only thing open when we would get out on a night out. It'd be like 2 a.m. and you could go to McDonald's and get a whole Big Mac for like a £1.50. It was so good. I ate so many of those.
Hey, what was a £1.50? Like, what is that?
It'd be about like $2.75.
Oh, that's not bad.
No, that's not bad. No, yeah.
Especially after a night out, I'm sure you're looking to.
Oh yeah, and like it was like
there,
it like came with like
possible.
it was like a Big Mac and like a small fry too. Like it was stupid what you got with it.
Right.
Made me take the bus every day.
Have better value meals than the U.S. does?
Who knows?
Seems backwards.
Well,
anyway, we can head on into the non-Big Mac related news here, guys. First up on the news docket, Christopher Nolan's next movie lands at Universal.
We touched on last week.
What'd you say?
Did we touch on that last week?
We did not, no.
Oh, okay. Maybe it was just early.
No, I believe the news broke
early
sometime last week.
Okay, yeah, early last week.
Maybe the day that we released it.
Okay,
yeah.
Gotcha.
That was probably what it was.
Yeah.
And maybe we talked about it.
That could have been it too. But yes, this is a switch up from his previous few films, most of them being developed with Warner Bros. A few with Sony and Paramount. He's not been exclusive to Warner Bros., but he's made a lot of his films with them, kind of starting back with the Dark Knight trilogy and every film since then. But heading to Universal, I don't. It will be interesting to see if this affects anything as far as his filmmaking process goes. I mean, obviously, filmmakers have style, and Nolan is one of those that has a very, unique style. You can always tell when you're watching a Nolan film, not only from the type of story that it is, but also how it looks. And when you're moving production companies like that, who knows if that affects it in any way? Hopefully, he can, try to just go for the same thing he's always gone for. But switch up like that can shift some things. So we'll see what happens there.
I agree. It'll be interesting to see exactly if this changes the tone of his film at all or anything like that. Nolan's always been very upfront that Warner Bros. Was pretty hands-off as a studio goes. That was part of the reason why he enjoyed working with them so much and felt like he had a really strong relationship with them. But I think the decision to release so many of the films this year onto HBO Max, just kind of without consulting the directors themselves or anything like that, really.
Yeah, he was really against that, right?
Yeah, he had that really left a bad taste in his mouth. So,
and he was very outspoken about it too.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. So, not surprising, I would say, but still pretty cool.
Yeah.
I would imagine he would have had to have worked a pretty similar deal with Universal to just be able to go over there. And nothing, I'm sure Universal would still be happy to make that arrangement work.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's going to bring in a ton of money off whatever he puts out. So I would hope the company's kind of like, okay, whatever you want to do, we'll back it up.
I agree.
Yeah, well, the next project is set to be about World War II scientist Robert Oppenheimer. Of course, one of the fathers of the atomic bomb. Who I don't know if this is necessarily going to be like a kind of like a Dunkirk, where it's just like a historical kind of drama or adaptation or something like that, or if maybe he's going to change it in some way to play with time or something like that. And,
it'd be
make
weird
it
to see him
more fantastical.
Be weird to see him do kind of a straight biopic, wouldn't it?
Yeah. So
Does he
we'll
have
see.
anything like that?
I would say Dunkirk would probably be the closest thing.
Yeah,
that's historical.
but even then,
it's fairly accurate.
Even then, that's more about the event, not like a certain historical figure or anything like that.
Right. Yeah. So that would probably be the closest comparison. But heading back toward the World War II setting, which he seems to, I guess, have liked to do with Dunkirk. So I'm on board for this. Obviously, I'm on board for just about anything Nolan directs.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. Do we know? Do we have any cast signed on yet?
Not from what I can see. Not in the story here. I mean, they
Michael
just landed. I could, yeah. Well, it's a safe assumption, Michael Caine.
I think he's been in everything since the Dark Knight trilogy. Batman Begins. Is that when they started?
I'm not 100% sure.
I don't know. I can't confirm that.
Right.
I'm pretty sure he's been in everything after that.
Yeah. But I mean, they just announced that last week that this was happening, so I'm sure this is when it's going to start going into more actual production stuff, because you can't really start that until you know who you're producing it with. So those announcements, I'm sure, will be coming out in the coming months, and then when production starts and all that stuff. But I would say if they're just now finalizing a deal like that, we just had Tenet come out last year. We're looking at another like 3 or 4. I would say about 3 years probably before we see this.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I think all of us just being movie lovers will definitely tune into it. I think a vast majority of the population will as well, just because it's got Nolan's name on it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think it's going to be a bad movie by any means.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Well, something further along in development is Warner Bros. New Wonka adaptation, or reimagining, I should say, and they're adding Keegan-Michael Key to the cast, which I think is a very fun casting. I'm actually very excited for this. His persona, his charisma fits that kind of world perfectly. It's not said what kind of role he's taking on. I don't think they've announced who's playing Wonka, and if he is, that'd be awesome. Or isn't it? You know what? Isn't it Timothee Chalamet?
Yeah, Chalamet.
Young. I take that back. Yeah, Chalamet's playing Wonka, but who knows where he'll fit in? But obviously, he's got that wacky persona. He could probably take on just about any character they need him to kind of play into that kind of world. So I'm actually very excited for this casting.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this seems to fit together as well. Keegan-Michael Key is a guy that can play. He can be the straight man, or he can play funny. Obviously, he's going to lean towards funny, but he's kind of like Danny McBride in that way, in that he is a legitimate actor in his own right too. So always good to see him around, and I'm sure he'll bring if anything else, he'll have a couple of good improv lines.
Hopefully. Yeah. Ty, Blake, does this do anything for you guys?
I remember when we brought this up and we were kind of like, nobody really asked for this. I mean, I like the original a lot. The Johnny Depp one, I don't really care for. This one, I guess depending on like a first trailer or something like that, I'll decide on whether or not it excites me. I really like Keegan. Anything he does, I think, is absolutely hysterical, or he usually goes into some other kind of like deeper emotional role. But either way, I think he does really well. So good cast.
Yeah, it's coming together so far. We'll keep you guys updated on if there's any more worthy or noteworthy additions to the cast, because I think this is definitely one of them.
Right. Yeah, I don't have too much to throw in on that. I mean, I think I can go without another Willy Wonka. So I do find it funny that we got they got Timothée Chalamet doing it. And didn't somebody compare him to like a Johnny Depp like lookalike or something? Didn't we have an episode where we were talking about celebrity lookalikes or like doppelgangers or something?
Yes.
That sounds familiar.
And I'm pretty
I don't
sure
know for sure.
I'm pretty sure he
And
was,
also something we talk about.
It might have been off pod, yeah.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, they managed to do it with Johnny Depp being replaced by Timothée Chalamet.
I think he was dating his Depp's daughter at one point too.
That's even more creepy.
I could be making that up. Allegedly, who knows?
Right.
All right, and then for our last news story of the week, another sad one. These heartbreaking fucking stories, man. They just keep coming. Norm Macdonald, comedian and former Saturday Night Live anchorman, dies at 61 after a 9-year private battle with cancer, which sucks, big time. This is on. I don't know if it's on par with Chadwick Boseman, but this is up there for me because I really love Norm Macdonald, even as someone who wasn't even alive when he was doing SNL and everything like that. I still know the legacy he left there, and I know I'm familiar with a lot of things he's done recently, and I've always liked what he's done, and it's kind of sucks that he's kind of gone this soon, gone this young, because I think he had a lot more in him, and going forward, it would have been fun to see him in more things.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Rest in peace. And while we're on that aspect, I got another one for you. I'm sure maybe some of you guys have heard of Friday. I'm sure maybe one of you guys have even seen it. I think me and Ty have talked about it before.
Oh yeah.
But a gentleman who plays a smaller role in there, and he's played in a few other kind of like black comedies from like the 90s and early 2000s. AJ Johnson, he passed away as well today. So same thing as you're just kind of reiterating, Adam. It's sad to see that news, of people or people you see or people you saw growing up. But always prayers and blessings to their family and loved ones.
Yeah, definitely.
Agreed.
All right, well, no easy transition out of that one, so we can just head into trailer talk here. We'll talk about the Halloween Kills final trailer first. Tyler, you said you did not want to watch this, and I totally respect that decision. And we talked about it before pod. I wish I didn't watch this because we have just seen so much at this point, and this trailer just added on to more of that. So either one or two things is going to happen when this movie comes out. Either it's just action packed from beginning to end, and there's just no breathing room because these trailers just look like insane thing after insane thing, or they've kind of just shown us everything there is, and that's gonna be make for a very disappointing viewing.
Yeah, I'm.
Yeah, that's the. Sorry, go ahead.
No,
Delay.
I like that we both went with the same intro there, though.
Yeah, it's,
I don't know. I'm still interested beyond the trailers. I think I kind of had that initial moment too of like well, this tells me too much, but at the same time, I don't really care at this point. I feel like because these movies have kind of had to be delayed so long, and that's the reason that we're kind of getting these extended trailers. I feel like at this point, or we're seeing so many things, is because this is almost the second or third marketing cycle with this stuff. I guess I feel like I have a little bit easier time forgiving some of it, but you are correct in that like there's just a lot going on here. It seems like it's going to be balls out from the moment it starts.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with Ty where I didn't really want to see another one of these trailers. I mean, and I do, quite frankly, I feel like it kind of reveals a little bit too much. I think we even said that on the last trailer, ironically.
Yeah, we did.
I mean, to be honest, I'm still interested in it. It honestly just looks like Michael Myers is going to be on a killing spree against an entire city.
Yeah, it seems
And
almost
I'm
like
cool with that.
Jaws.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, we haven't really seen a slasher of that regard, or at least not in terms of Michael Myers doing something of that nature, right? It's usually more slow, methodical, very slow pace, where this seems like he's just like walking down the street, just like slaughtering people.
Not giving a fuck.
Yeah, so I think it'll be interesting. I think it'll be okay watch. Good popcorn movie. We kind of throw that around, but I think this will be a really good theater movie.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah, I think overall the reason I decided to opt out of it is because I don't want it to be ruined for me.
Right.
If we
That
go
makes
back
sense.
to like last week, I'm sick. We already went through this. I'm sick in the head. When I go see a scary movie, I want that suspense. I want to be scared. I want to feel those chills. And if I get too much from the trailers, I feel like I'm just gonna be like, well, I wasn't really surprised.
Sure.
Yep.
That's totally
So-
fair. Because we've talked about multiple times in the podcast about like The Conjuring and other horror films that we've watched where like
Yep.
things in the trailer that would be incredibly scary if we just saw them in the movie it's like just ruined by the
Right.
trailer if you see it. Like
Yeah.
The Conjuring
Yeah.
one is one that is a go-to for me where that clap. Like if
Yeah.
I didn't see that in the trailer, I would flip
Oh,
my shit when I
man.
watch
Yeah.
a movie.
That'd be the best scene in the movie.
Exactly. So I just hope it's not. We haven't seen everything, or at least we haven't been teased everything, because obviously we haven't seen everything. But it seems like we've seen a lot, and if there's even more than this, then yeah, this movie is about to be batshit crazy.
I'm excited for it though.
Me too. I believe we finalized the show. Well, not finalized, but looked at the show schedule last week. We're doing this right when it comes out.
Oh yeah,
Should
we
be.
are.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
pretty sure we are.
If I got
Oh,
even
yeah.
saying it, we're doing it.
I think we all want to, so I'm pretty sure that's a confirm. So stay tuned, listeners. And then our other trailer for the day was an interesting one. This is going to be Tom Hanks' new sci-fi movie called Finch, which is from Game of Thrones, one of the Game of Thrones directors. It's coming straight to Apple TV Plus this November. Let me see, November 5th. Yep. So this kind of looked like Chappie meets The Martian.
I think that's
Yeah.
what Tyler called it like almost immediately. He's like Castaway with Chappie, right?
Yeah. Or the Castaway, yeah. But I was kind of surprised by the trailer. I did like it overall. And it showed more promise than I was expecting when I originally watched this trailer because I hadn't heard anything about it, and then I just saw it pop up, and I thought I'll check it out, see if we want to toss it in trailer talk. But I was actually pretty impressed by it and kind of interested in it. If I still have my Apple TV Plus subscription once Ted Lasso ends, maybe I'll check this out.
I'm kind of excited for it. I mean, it's hard because Tom Hanks already had one of these movies where it's almost gonna get just stuck as like an Apple original. It's not gonna, nobody's gonna really look at it as like a full scale movie. So like, what was that? Greyhound. Sorry,
Correct.
Papa
Yeah,
Schwartz.
Greyhound.
Oh yeah.
It just it just kind of fell to the wayside. So I hope this kind of redeems that for him and for Apple, because they do have some really good stuff going on. Even though I've heard Ted Lasso's kind of gone to shit, but I don't really know
that.
So yeah, I'm still excited for it. I think the animation in there is really cool with the robot guy. So I think it'll be pretty cool.
Yeah,
it seems fun. Go ahead, Nathaniel.
I just don't know what this film's focus is. Because even in the trailer, it's kind of like first it's him on his own, and then it's him with the dog, and then it's him with the robot, and then it's all three of them. And then he seems to be trying to get somewhere too. And so I just don't know if it's trying to be like a road movie, if it's trying to be a companion movie, if it's trying to be kind of like a exploration of what it means to be human or whatever. I'm not sure what exactly its final goal is, and I'm not sure if the movie itself isn't going to be pretty different from what this trailer kind of seems to indicate in some ways. But I agree.
Think it's all three. You just nailed it. You just nailed the whole thing.
Could be. But yeah, I agree with what Tyler and Adam have been kind of saying so far too. Apple TV hasn't had a breakthrough movie yet, the way that it has. Ted Lasso has forced everyone to get Apple TV. So, do I think this is it from this trailer? Maybe not, but we'll see. Could be.
Yeah, I don't got too much to add on to that one. Go ahead, Adam.
I was just going to mention the director from Game of Thrones. He's the one. It's Miguel Sapochnik. He's the director of Battle of the Bastards, that episode.
What was this? I'm sorry. Just run that back.
So the director of this was
okay.
Game of Thrones director who directed the Battle of the Bastards episode.
Got it. Okay. Interesting.
Yep. All right. Well, that's going to be it for Trailer Talk. We can move into Adam Schwartz's completely subjective new streaming list for the week of 9/19 to 9/25, September 19th to the 25th. To Netflix, we're getting Midnight Mass Season 1. This is a supernatural horror series from Mike Flanagan about the arrival of a priest to a small, isolated island. Nathaniel, Blake, are you guys checking this out? Are you guys familiar with this?
Are you kidding me?
I'm not familiar with it, but I've been seeing a lot of stuff about it recently. So it's obviously got my attention. He's done Hill House. I didn't finish Bly Manor. It wasn't really up my alley. I know Nathaniel kind of went in there and mentioned that was still good.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
But yeah, what do you know so far of Midnight Mass? The only thing is I just kind of browse across some of that stuff on the internet. So I think I may check it out. What are you thinking, Nathaniel?
Yeah, I'll go in on it. No question. Love Mike Flanagan. Love most of the cast on this. He tends to work with several members of the same cast. So this is kind of the I feel like it's always cool to see how they fit into different roles and everything. And cool to see them pop up in kind of project to project to project with all his stuff. And he's been working with Netflix for a while now too, going all the way back to kind of the Hush Oculus days. So I'll be ready to check this out day one when it drops for sure. I really like Haunting of Hill House. But Haunting of Bly Manor was good as well. Just I think was a little bit not quite fully baked yet. They had a pretty quick turnaround on that. But this seems really interesting. I've seen the trailer, and other than that, kind of in comparison to Halloween Kills, I'm going to try and go in as spoiler free as possible, or as blind as possible now that I've seen the trailer.
Well, yeah, no, definitely report back because I haven't seen any of Mike Flanagan's horror stuff on you guys have definitely recommended House
Hill
Bly
House.
Manor and then Haunting the Hill.
Haunting of Hill House is the first
Haunting of
one.
Hill House.
Is season
Okay.
1.
And then Bly
then
Manor.
Oh yeah, then Haunting of Bly Manor season 2.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's going to be it for Netflix. To Amazon Prime, we're getting Despicable Me 2, and that's the only thing coming there. Hulu is getting Grown Ups. What would you say, Blake?
It was me. I said sweet.
Oh, okay. No, I like the Despicable Me movies. They're pretty good. Steve Carell's really good at those. I like him a lot. Hulu, like I said, getting Grown Ups. Nothing coming to HBO Max, and then Disney Plus. We're getting our first episode of Star Wars Visions, which I'm very excited for. I'm sure Ty and Nathaniel are pretty excited for as well.
Yes.
And then Marvel's What If Episode 7. And then rounding out the list is, of course, the seminal film, The Fault in Our Stars.
Oh boy.
Oh, boy.
Hey,
Just thought
I
I'd toss
actually,
it
I don't mind The Fault in Our Stars.
I've never seen it.
It's in case anybody doesn't know me by now, I can get emotional at some point, and
Can you?
it's a yeah,
Typhoon Ty can get emotional.
it's a tearjerker, man.
Yeah. Maybe I'll put it on just for a good cry, you know?
I mean, you should.
Well, we all need a good cry sometimes, right?
100%.
I agree.
100%. All right, well, we can head into what we're watching here. Let's kick it off this week with Blake. Have you gotten to anything this week, Blake? I know you've been busy the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I did, man. I actually got to a movie on what was that, on Amazon Prime? Let me see if I logged it so I can get the name really quick. It was called Mortal. So actually it involved it starred what's the other brother's name? Alex Wolff's brother? Is it Nate?
Yes.
believe.
Yeah, Nate
Alex Wolff
Wolff.
from Hereditary? Yep. So it starred Nate Wolff and a few other people that I'm not familiar with. Let me see if I can get the IMDb up. But it was really interesting. I came across it Sunday morning, just kind of wanting something to watch before football came on. And it's pretty good. Kind of an opening, I guess, an opening act or an opening film. They might go on to make a series out of it, it seems like, but basically of somebody having these godlike powers. And like how society would view them, like if there's an actual god and things of that nature. So it was pretty good. It was interesting. Smaller budget though, so some of the special effects, as you can see, weren't the greatest. But so far, I mean, honestly, I was pleasantly surprised just by coming across a Amazon Prime movie. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Just scrolling. So
Yeah,
not bad. The IMDb summary on this one, just so you guys know. So it's a fantasy adventure origin story about a young man discovering he has godlike powers based on ancient Norwegian mythology.
Okay.
So pretty interesting. Yeah.
yeah.
But that's the one thing I got to. Outside of that, did a few more episodes of The Wire, kind of picking up where I left off that maybe about 3 weeks ago or so. So I'm in the third season of that. Watched a handful of football. Been watching some stuff on YouTube, video games, streaming things of that nature. That's about it on my end.
Who you popcorning?
Let's go Nathaniel.
Okay. Let me get my phone back here. What did I do with it? It's got my list
I want to
on
see
it.
if we got any
And it's gone.
The Wire updates, or if we got any Atlanta updates.
No The Wire, no Atlanta, unfortunately.
Okay.
No, I do have to go back in on both of those. But I did get to a couple classics on here. So for TV, I still have been working through Adventure Time. I've talked about that the last couple of weeks here. They released a new season of Sex Education on Friday, I think it was. That came out. If you guys, any of you guys watch that show on Netflix at all?
I've
I
not.
think
No.
I've seen a season of that. How many seasons are there?
This will be the third one. But
I think I've seen the first one.
Okay, yeah, that wouldn't be surprising. I think it's really funny. It's kind of I don't
It's
know.
like a UK show, right?
Yeah, it is.
That's okay. I've definitely seen the first season.
Yeah, it seems to have gotten a little bit more like melodramatic as it's gone along, which I feel like a lot of those shows sometimes do. But the first season is basically the kind of trials and tribulations of a kid whose mom is a kind of world famous sex therapist as he goes through high school, and how he almost ends up running his own sex therapy clinic there at the school.
Right.
In like cahoots with another student, basically, and each season has kind of followed them through their school life, and this was the newest iteration of that. So it was fun. It's kind of like Adam. It's kind of like a less depressing Euphoria, I feel like, in some ways.
Okay.
Same kind of target audience, and demographic, but yeah, it was good. I haven't quite finished the season yet, but always good to kind of check back in with that. Like I said, if I had any criticism, I would just say that it's like tending to be almost a little bit over dramatic at some points now, but that's okay. Also got to Kung Fu Hustle, which is a classic, unadulterated in my opinion. Love that movie. And I think I texted the group about that, didn't I? And I said, Adam, if you ever wanted to see like an actual anime come to life or like live action, the way that you
might have been Thursday or something.
Yeah, then watch that movie. But I stand by that. You do have to watch that. Tyler, you've seen that for sure, right?
I'll put it on my watch list.
Ty,
I did not hear you, Nathaniel. You and Adam are talking at the same time.
I'm sorry. I said you for sure have seen Kung Fu Hustle, right?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
You are welcome.
Adam, yeah, check it out. What else did I get to? Yeah, other than that, I actually stopped by with Ty. Oh, I did get to this season's or this last week's What If episode, which was what if Killmonger rescued Tony Stark in Afghanistan.
I am caught up, actually.
Yeah, I seen that too.
Yes, what did you guys think?
I'll let you go first.
I think it's kind of in the middle of the road, like some of the other ones. I don't hate it. I don't love it.
Thought it ended in kind of a little weird of a place.
Yeah.
Like this was the one that like almost at the start of our recording tonight, I had to like think back and be like, oh wait, what? How did that episode end? Or like, what was that actually about? Whereas like everyone else has been very clear to me.
Right. I agree.
Yeah, I didn't absolutely love this episode. Like Tyler said, it was definitely middle of the road for me as well. I have caught up with it. I watched all 6 episodes. I'm not in love with this series, to be honest. Like it's good. It's okay, but it doesn't. I don't like love it in many ways. The Doctor Strange episode was by far my favorite, which I think you said as well, Nathaniel.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, I like that one a lot. But the other ones, they've just been okay. Like, it hasn't been anything crazy for me. I'm still not in love with the animation style, but, you know, it's still good. I'm still going to finish it out because I still enjoy Marvel content, and it's still solid, but not what I was hoping for sure, especially this last episode.
I don't know if they care that it's, like, overly good. I think this is placed really strategically because right before I think we're going to get like another wave of Marvel like theatrical movies, I think this is just basically saying like, well, we just need to open up their mind to like the fact that anything fucking goes. And we're going to spend a lot more time on like how we got there in the movies. This is basically to say that like we can pretty much do anything we want for the movies, and we just need you guys to understand.
Yeah, I also wouldn't be surprised if they all tie together here soon or something like that. And try and go for a big swing here at the end of things, but we'll see. I feel like I'm almost in the same boat as Adam. I haven't loved everything that's come out of here. This has definitely felt the most uneven of the series. If only in just that like this seems. It's not the first time that I've kind of had the feeling of, well, this is just ending in a weird place, and like, what is the whole goal here with everything? I understand what you're saying, Ty, of like they're wanting to kind of prep us for crazy things, but I feel like Loki's already done that in some ways.
I think a lot of all of them really kind of have.
Yeah.
I think this is just kind of basically another way.
I just feel like I need it. It doesn't feel distinct enough. It needs to either start having more fun or like go more in a certain direction. Right now, it's just kind of like, yeah, it's what if, but it doesn't feel connected to anything, and it's not distinct enough on its own to keep me interested.
Agreed.
Yeah. Hopefully, Star Wars Visions is not or is better than What If is.
Star Wars Visions, I think, has the potential to be like my favorite thing out this year in some ways.
Yeah,
I'm very excited for that. Sorry. Yeah,
you're good.
I guess I'm still doing my what we watched list. Do you want to talk about Ted Lasso?
Sure. Yeah, we can.
Because I'm caught up on that as well. Tyler, you're not, I know, and Blake,
No,
you
I
haven't
haven't
watched
started.
any of it.
Okay.
Adam,
Yeah.
what is your
Let's
take?
talk about this non-spoilers.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's been some controversy after this last week's episode about how kind of different it is.
Yeah, it goes on a focus on one character, basically.
Correct. Yeah, it's a solo episode basically on one character, which I saw on Twitter this week. A bit of an explanation as to why there are 2 episodes in this season that have stood out so far, and
Correct.
there apparently is a reason to why that is. It was a Rolling Stones article, and I only caught a snippet of it, but basically, season 1 has 10 episodes, and season 2 was slated for 10 episodes. But after the success of the first season, they approved 2 more episodes.
Correct.
But obviously, they had already set the story arc and everything like that. They didn't want to mess with it. So these other 2 episodes that people are kind of complaining about were just tacked on. And so they do feel out of place because they weren't supposed to be part of the general arc. That being said, I've still really enjoyed both of those episodes, and while they do feel a little out of place for what Ted Lasso has been for the first season and the rest of the second season, I still like them a lot. I think I really enjoyed the Coach Beard episode, which is the one, the character that they focus on, because he's always kind of felt like someone who they've been trying to make a main character, but for some reason he's always felt like a side character to me in some ways. And the fact that we kind of get a little bit better insight into his personal life and everything like that, I did actually enjoy a lot. And the actor, I don't know his name off the top of my head, but he's very good. He's very fun, charismatic, and he plays that character very well. And so I enjoyed it overall. Coach Beard is one of my favorite characters, but like I said, I had been wishing they would go more in depth on him, and they finally did. So it worked for me personally. I can understand why people are a little, shaken up about these 2 episodes that have stood out, but at the end of the day, it doesn't bother me. More Ted Lasso is more Ted Lasso, and I've still enjoyed those 2 episodes.
Yeah, I think people need to get over themselves.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that to me smacks of like I'm used to binge watching everything and not used to getting things week to week anymore, because yes, the Coach Beard episode stands out in that it's not the normal format, but when has this show at any one point, when has this show ever just set a foot wrong or not followed up on things that it set up earlier? You know what I mean? And I feel like there's enough of a dramatic arc in this episode to still carry that along. It's just not what people are used to seeing. I think I still think this was a good episode. It's not my favorite by far, and I think you're right. I think immediately if you put all 12 episodes of this season up in a lineup, and asked people to pick out the 2 episodes that were added later, anyone that's watched as much film as we have would be able to do that. But that doesn't mean that they're bad by any means, or unworthy of enjoying it or anything like that. They're just as fun as the rest of the episodes. They're just a little bit different. So I enjoyed it. I'm still with it. So
Yeah, definitely me too.
But I will finish on. Excuse me. I just stumbled through that sentence. That was like falling down a set of stairs. That was awful.
Hey, are you okay?
Yeah. With that being said, I'll finish off my What We're Watching segment with I went over to Tyler's house and actually watched Ford versus Ferrari and then watched most of Revenge of the Sith.
Okay.
Too.
Ooh,
So,
quite a combo. Quite a double feature.
But yeah, Ford versus Ferrari, always fun. Definitely a little bit more fun, I think, recently, having watched or increased my car knowledge by about twofold since the last time I saw that movie. But overall, yeah, just a good time. Always good to see Christian Bale, Matt Damon up on screen. It's a really beautiful looking movie, and it's definitely worth a watch.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah, and Revenge of the Sith is Revenge of the Sith. Everyone knows that one.
Agreed.
Where does that
besides
fall
Blake.
in the Right, I had to ask. Where does that fall in the?
For me, it
Star
is
Wars?
like directly in the middle. It is like the kind of just where
That's
everything hinges.
Sorry, I'm not trying to interrupt you. Nathaniel's Discord's the time is off a little bit. That's the third sequel, Blake. Just so you know. Or
Okay,
sorry, third prequel.
Okay, so is that of like the original ones from like what is it, like the 70s or the ones from like
No.
the early 2000s?
The early 2000s.
Okay,
I
gotcha.
think that one came out in 2006 or 7.
Okay.
I don't know which, but somewhere around that time. Maybe 2005. Who knows?
Gotcha.
Is that it for you, Nathaniel?
That is it for me, folks. The only
right.
other thing I had was Weathering with You, so I'll kick it over to you, sir.
Cool. Well, yeah, we had a bit of a viewing party,
It's true.
which was fun. I had an old friend hit me up on Thursday and was like, "Hey, bro, like, I know we've been trying to hang out. I'm off work for like a week and a half. Like, we should do something." And I was like, "I am literally off tomorrow," and he was like, "That actually works." So, shout out to Kendall Candeezy.
Oh shit, that Kendall,
hey.
the one I know.
Yep. Yeah.
I guess we all know?
He hit me up, and him and I have been trying to hook up for a little bit, and so it ended up working out really well. And he came over, and then next thing you know, I was like, "Hey, Nathaniel, Kendall's coming over," and then I was like, "Hey, Justin, Kendall's coming over," and then our other buddy Ryan, a good friend of the pod, Ryan Foley, hello. Good morning to you, sir, because I know you
Ryan
listened
Foley.
quite early. But he also ended up coming over, so it was really fun, man. It was cool just to have some up on the big screen, and we had it pretty loud because it was still relatively early in the day, and we're just talking and eating, catching up. It was a good time.
That's awesome, man. That's cool.
Yeah. So shout out Kendall.
Shout out Kendall.
What up, Kendall?
So yeah, I got to Weathering with You, obviously. Leah and I did a little bit more in Manifest, which I'm not like leaning one way or the other. It needs a little bit more for me to just be like, I'm all in. So
Okay.
Feeling a
Where are
little
you guys
stale?
Like season wise.
still season 1. I think it's like midway through season 1. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how many episodes there are.
I have not
So-
seen that show, but from what I've heard of it, I've heard the later seasons actually get pretty good. If I, kind of picked up on that correctly from what
Yeah.
I've heard.
Which I'm down for. So anything helps. So obviously got to Ford versus a Ferrari, and Revenge of the Sith, and then I don't know, did I mention I watched Evangelion 1.11 or
You did not.
No,
you,
I-
you
okay.
mentioned it to us.
Yeah, I don't
I
think.
did mention it to you guys. That's right.
Yeah, you hadn't done it yet when last we recorded, but you sent us a Snapchat, I think.
Yeah. So it was Tokyo 3. It was a good shot. It was really pretty.
Mhm.
But yeah, so I did 111, and then I also got to 222. So
Oh, you got to both?
I did.
What did you think?
They're really beautiful. They're really well done. You could see that there's just like a big upgrade. I think there was like one scene that I remember seeing definitively, and it actually might have been what I sent to you guys, but it pops so much, and I'm like, holy shit.
Yep.
But it still gives me so much appreciation for the original stuff. But yeah, it's great. I love it. So I'm definitely gonna just keep them on when I can. So they're great.
Well, you're halfway there, so.
Yeah. So, but yeah, other than that, I actually don't have anything else that I can honestly think of off the top of my head right now. So
Well, I
yeah.
can pick it up where you left off. I also watched Evangelion 2.22. Following, I watched the 1.11 like 2 or 3 weeks ago, so it took a little bit for me and my roommate to get to 2.22. But still, I'll reciprocate everything Tyler said. These things look amazing. I'm still very much in love with them. The story is getting more different than I thought it would, honestly.
Oh, just you wait, friend.
Okay, that makes me excited because that's fun. I like how it's a similar skeleton, but he's adding on different parts to it. So and Nathaniel, I don't know if what you just said makes, or maybe he changes the skeleton altogether. Who knows? I can't wait to find out. But really enjoyed 2.22. These movies move at a very quick pace, honestly even faster than the show does to some extent. At least that's kind of what it feels like.
Yeah.
Yeah. Excuse me.
Not a lot of fill.
Yeah, and you're condensing 26, 23, episodes, into 2 or 3 hours at the most. Trying to.
Well, I mean, every movie is what, an hour and a half to 2 hours.
Correct. Yeah.
So you're getting like 6 or 7 episodes a movie, which is a lot.
That is true.
Yeah. But still enjoying that. I will definitely be finishing out 3.33 and 3.0 plus 1.01 at some point.
Agreed.
Yep. What else did I get to here? Ted Lasso, of course. What If, of course. I have, since I finished How I Met Your Mother, I've transitioned to What We Do in the Shadows.
Oh, okay.
Excuse me. I mentioned, I think last week or maybe a couple weeks ago, how me and my friends were watching it over the summer a little bit. We got through about a season and a half of the show, and I liked it a lot, so I've gone back to kind of finish that out. I started back from the beginning to actually give it a full watch. I actually don't know. I'm going to keep watching a little bit more. I don't know if I'll continue it. I'm not enjoying it as much as I did the first time I watched through it, maybe just because I've already seen a lot of the jokes already. But I don't know if I'll continue it all the way through. Well, I'm going to, that's kind of TBD, but I've still enjoyed it somewhat, so there's that. And then for my film class, didn't watch anything major this week. It was actually about early documentary filmmaking. So we watched some old docs and kind of compared to the original style of documentary filmmaking in like the 30s, 40s, and 50s. So there was that.
The year is 1944, and the Allies are like that kind of style stuff.
Not quite, but pretty close.
Okay.
And then of course, I watched Weathering with You. Welcome, listeners, to the main review segment here at Back Row Banter.
Record scratch.
Before we get started
frame.
here, before I toss it over to Nathaniel, I wish I regret not doing this at the beginning of the pod, but obviously we told you listeners to watch a different movie last week, Blue Bayou. That we had to scrap because it turns out there were no showings near me. Because I am in central Missouri and there's no like big theaters or no AMCs or anything like that. Yeah, it was very unfortunate. I kind of didn't really foresee that. I thought it would be a big enough release where I'd be able to at least catch some kind of screening, but checked all the theaters nearby me, not a single one all weekend. So we had to kind of transition. We did update you guys on Twitter, at Banter Row on Twitter if you want to follow us there. So you got the updates there. If you are not following there, and well, you should, so you can get updates like that when things happen with the pod, and because things happen sometimes.
We're free flowing, man. You never know what could happen here.
Free flowing, I like that. It's like a little Weathering with You innuendo. You know what I'm saying?
That's it. A Weathering with You innuendo.
Yep. Anyway, Nathaniel, tell them how the review segment works.
Well, sir, if you are brand new or if you have just forgotten, the way the review segment works here at Back Row Banter is it is broken down into 2 different segments. There's going to be the non-spoiler section, and then there's going to be the spoiler section. In the non-spoiler section, we'll introduce the movie, kind of give you the year it came out, anything on its IMDb page, go over its summary, all of that good stuff, and we'll go around the circle, or the quadrant, as we call it here, and give our initial thoughts on the movie. And then each one of us is going to decide whether or not we would recommend that movie. It's got to be a yes or no. There is no nuance on the internet. From then on, it's going to be spoilers. You will hear me play the spoiler sound. It will sound like this. From then on out, it's going to be full spoilers all the time. We'll go deeper into our thoughts, go into any big spoiler moments that we would have to talk about, and then just kind of really dig into this thing. Then we'll welcome everyone back in and see where it ranks on our Entropy list, which is our big list of everything we've watched on the podcast, ranked. That being said, Adam, tell me about Weathering with You.
This, listeners, is Weathering with You, a anime film from 2019, rated PG-13 with a runtime of 1 hour and 52 minutes, written and directed by Makoto Shinkai, who, listeners, if you have been following the pod for long enough, he also directed Your Name, a movie that we reviewed, a movie that I praised for a long time and watched a lot since Nathaniel first showed it to me. But this is the follow-up to Your Name, not necessarily a sequel. It follows different characters, although it is, I guess, set in the same universe, since bit of sizzle, some characters from Your Name do show up here quickly. But cast-wise, I'm going to go ahead and read off the dub cast, assuming that not a lot of people would know the subcast. But voicing the main characters, we have, if I can find it here, we have Brandon Anchorman as Hodaka, Ashley Boucher as Hina, and then Allison Brie as Natsumi, and Lee Pace as Suga. Those are kind of the four main characters there. Allison Brie probably the most notable of all of them. And then another notable actor who I did not know was a voice actor in this movie, at least for the dub, is Riz Ahmed. He plays Detective Takai, or Takei.
Yeah, Takai is the one with the kind of bouffant haircut. Big one.
The cool hair. Very cool guy. Yeah. So,
just like Riz Ahmed. Very cool guy.
But definitely a good dub. I probably prefer this dub. The dub to sub comparison here, I probably prefer this one more than Your Name's dub. Okay. I don't mind Your Name's dub, but compared to the sub, I think this is the better kind of the better casting, basically, comparatively. The IMDb summary reads as follows: a high school boy who has run away to Tokyo befriends a girl who appears to be able to manipulate the weather. Decent IMDb summary. Doesn't give you the full synopsis here, so we'll kind of fill in the gaps a little bit. Hodaka has run away from home, from his isolated island, to the big city of Tokyo at the age of, 14, 15?
16.
16.
He is
sorry.
16, yes.
Yes. So he's on his own, which he is not supposed to do. But Tokyo, when he gets there, is kind of rainy constantly.
All the time.
Right. Doesn't really stop raining, which is a very odd phenomenon, and it's been like that for a little bit when he gets there. But then, of course, he runs into the aforementioned girl who appears to be able to manipulate the weather in ways to make it sunny again and give him good weather. And so it's kind of their adventures together, and kind of that fantastical tale. It sounds kind of weird saying that out loud. It's obviously an anime movie, so it's going to go, fun, weird places that you kind of can't get out of a different format like that. Excuse me.
Yeah, Adam,
still haven't shaken that off.
So tell me about this one, because obviously the history of Your Name and Adam Schwartz is well documented on this podcast.
Yes, it is. It's a storied love affair.
Yes, we basically sat you down and made you watch it, and that made you decide to watch this as well. I think I told you that you should check it out.
You did, and another friend of the pod, Back Row Banter, actually gifted this to me, the steelbook to me last Christmas.
Oh, so that's correct. Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
And then we watched it. I guess it's been a little over 6 months now. Then, no, a little bit longer.
Because you showed me Your Name around Thanksgiving time, and then you showed me Weathering with You, I believe, over my Christmas break.
Okay. So yeah, coming up on 9 months now. So how many times is this for you that you've seen this now?
This is probably 5 or 6.
Okay, fair enough.
Around there. So not as many as Your Name, because that's in the upper teens, I would say, mid to upper teens.
Wow.
But yeah, so I haven't watched this nearly as much. I'll say it right off the bat, I personally don't enjoy this as much as Your Name. It just didn't hit the chord for me as much as that movie did. but I still do really, really enjoy this. It's still a lot of fun. It's still that whimsical sense that I got in Your Name. The animation still incredible. Same animation style as Your Name, and I don't know. Wouldn't say it's necessarily better, but they do more cool things with it, with that weather effect and with the rain and everything that they do with that. It looks fantastic. The soundtrack is great again. Same band as Your Name soundtrack, the Rad Wimps,
Rad
except the
Wimps.
dub does not feature any dubbed music. It is just the Japanese music, which I'm totally fine with. It's still a good soundtrack all around. But Ty and Blake, I mean, you guys watched Your Name both for the first time when we reviewed this podcast or reviewed it for the podcast. How do you guys feel about this follow up?
Well done with you. I like it. I don't know if I like it more than Your Name. I definitely like the story that we're getting of kind of like it's like a romance, teenage love type movie. I would say just for starters, for me, just jumping right back into the movie and seeing that style of animation, I was like, I forgot how much I liked the first one, just off how good it looks. So that was definitely the biggest takeaway for me. But overall, I mean, this isn't my preferred genre. But still, good movie. Everything's good. I like the cast. I like the characters. The animation's awesome. The food looks great in this movie, as we kind of harped on before.
Oh yeah.
That's
So
like a
yeah,
Big
I don't
Mac.
really have too many complaints.
Yeah, after watching this last night, I went to my school has a dining hall that is just like Japanese food, and I got a bowl of ramen. Had to.
That's
Smart choice.
Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that sounds awesome. Ty, this being your first watching of this, or your first viewing, I should say, how were you feeling?
It's good. I definitely like Your Name better at this point in time. I'd probably have to watch this again, but overall, I liked it. We've obviously talked about pretty much all the main points already as far as the animation goes and everything like that, and the cool things they do with the water, which we'll get into. But yeah, overall storyline's good. These things always tend to hit or try to connect on a deeper level. I think Your Name nails that just a little bit more. But it is cool that these are within the same universe and everything. Still, like you said, you get some cameos. But overall, I like it. Still a good movie.
Yeah, I think I'll kind of echo maybe what most people are saying here. I think with Your Name you have, and it's hard not to compare the two, right? Because obviously they're
Yes,
same
yeah.
director, same kind of style. They're even linked, as we've kind of danced around a little bit in some ways, in that characters from one show up in the other kind of thing. But Your Name, the advantage of that was you had between the two characters, you spent basically even time with both. Whereas I feel like in Weathering with You, you're so much more in Hodaka's viewpoint and point of view than you ever are in Hina's. So you don't get as much of her kind of interior life and what that is like as you do in Your Name, which, in Your Name, that's kind of by necessity. So I think that's probably a lot of why you don't automatically feel as connected. That being said, I think in some ways I kind of like some of the ancillary characters in Weathering with You more. So like I really like Mr. Suga and Natsumi as background characters and everything.
For sure.
I feel like those are a little bit stronger than the Your Name friends and stuff. And I like kind of their storyline as well. It's interesting to me kind of how this movie is very it's very sort of, I don't want to say episodic. What's the word I'm kind of looking for? It just goes. It like nothing. There's no real kind of like inciting event or anything like that. It's just Hodaka shows up in Tokyo. This is the story of what happens next after that. There's no real. They don't really try and make it any more intriguing than it needs to be. They allow the story to kind of speak for itself, I think, in some ways. But anyways, I've talked a lot about it before. Everything still a recommend for me for sure. I don't know. I go back and forth on which one I like better. I think I'm just gonna end my thoughts with that. But definitely recommend. Recommend for you guys or Adam?
Yeah, definitely recommend for me. If you've seen Your Name, and even if you haven't, I think this is still worth checking out. It's on HBO Max, so it's pretty easily acceptable or accessible. But yeah, no, it's a good time regardless of the comparisons to Your Name. On its own, it still stands alone as a very good movie, and I'm very down for it. Ty, Blake.
Yeah, it's a recommend for me.
Yeah, I can give it a recommend. Definitely not a bad film.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's going to be a recommend all around from the squadron here, guys. So if you have not seen Weathering with You and you do not want it spoiled for you, go ahead and check the episode description where I have put a timestamp you can jump to where we rank the movie up upon the Entropy list.
Up upon.
Spoilers.
Was a hair slow there for a second.
It was. I saw the reaction time happen. The phone was. I think you're on your phone. It didn't. Quite prepared for
I
it.
was switching between apps, going from IMDb back over to the show notes.
Well, anyway, shit goes down.
Shit goes down.
And it keeps coming down, and it keeps raining, and it's very gloomy, but atmospheric, and I love it. Actually, it's a very good setting.
Yeah, we talked a little bit, but the animation in this is insane. I mean, it's a beautiful looking movie. Overall.
Do you guys think this one has better animation than Your Name?
The water, man. The water's tough.
It's hard. They do more with it.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say overall.
I would say so.
I would say overall the animation in this is just like a next level technically. I feel like in some ways.
It's a slight step above for sure.
Yeah. Your Name gets a little bit easier kind of visuals thing, I guess. Well, I mean, even then, that's not necessarily true. Because, I mean, with Your Name, you have the comet coming down, and that's always a crazy thing. But then you get the sky oceans, which, all right, we're in spoilers. There's an ocean in the sky, and basically there's creatures up there that are living water and control the weather. And they need a human sacrifice every now and then, as you do. It's just, your basic stuff.
You do. Yeah.
How do you guys feel about the story in this? Do you feel like it's interesting? Because I feel like there's one very kind reading of this movie, and several others that could get kind of weird.
Elaborate on that for me.
Yeah, I was like, what do you mean by that? Talk to me.
Well, I by that I mean the in the storyline of the film, Hodoka and Hina are together, right? And Hina is the Sunshine Girl, and it is revealed that to make the world go back to the way that it was, that Hina needs to sacrifice herself and complete her Sunshine Girl selection, and which basically she goes up into the sky. And the rest of the world goes back to semi-regular weather, I guess. And then, but Hodoka decides that's not going to happen. He makes this grand attempt to go and find her, walks through the same Shinto shrine that she did earlier, goes up to the sky, gets her back down, and the world then continues to be sort of, it continues to rain all the time, but it then time jumps 3 or 4 years in the future, and it's not as rainy. It seems like it's definitely flooded, and like part of Tokyo is now underwater, but there's pockets of sunshine and that kind of thing, and everyone's kind of just living with it. So to me, I feel like the overall messaging on the film is kind of this idea that you don't have to sacrifice yourself to make everyone else happy. And that, your true loves will just kind of see you for who you are and not force that on you. But pretty much every other reading of this is like, just do what you want because they're more important than the rest of the world.
That's definitely kind of the surface level interpretation.
Like that can be
it
could be very dangerous that you end up in that reading, right? Am I crazy there?
No, I don't think you're. Yeah, I don't think you're crazy. I would just say, from what I kind of see after they kind of do that time jump, I don't see as much sunshine. To me, just like the whole he floods Tokyo by making that decision,
Mhm.
and it's still raining. Like you see on the boat, you see when he's walking to that lady's house, like it's still raining the whole time. I know it's not as heavy as it is in other parts of the movie, but it still seems to be kind of pouring. And you saw Tokyo, it's the whole thing is underwater. So I don't necessarily know if I see the fact that it kind of doesn't matter because it kind of returns a little bit to a little bit more normalcy. It to me, it looks like it's still the same kind of thing going on. But I don't know. I might have missed something that you saw.
I guess my feeling is just that unless you get to the very specific like kind of view of it of Hina no longer seeing the need to serve as everyone else's happiness, then any other kind of view of it can you very easily go into the kind of selfish reasons, I guess, is kind of my interpretation. But overall, I still think it's still cool. I mean, I like it a lot. I'm a big fan of it. I think I like how kind of odd it is in some ways. And that I like that it decides to go where it does too. I like their kind of commitment to the idea of, well, yeah, these are weird weather signs for history, but how long is history? Kind of thing overall.
Right. Yeah.
I really like that piece.
I remember the spiel on that. I mean, I'll tell you guys one thing, just from my end, and I haven't watched too much anime as of late, but even just between watching this and then whenever we recapped Your Name, it makes me want to like deep dive back into like my anime like mind. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So maybe I should go back and start watching some of these shows I didn't finish, or any new shows that any time I've been referenced, whether it's from Thai or I got a few buddies who are just really big in anime. It makes me want to see if I can deep dive back in those. Just because I mean it's enjoyable, it's fresh. You can get visuals that you can't really get elsewhere. So it's definitely mind opening.
It scratches a certain itch for me every time I
Exactly.
go back to these. Yeah.
Yeah, I
I
think
think
they're
you've
great.
been pretty silent through that.
Yeah, I was kind of waiting for you guys all to kind of, get your little things in, but yeah, I mean, overall, animation's really great. I think this has a really good storyline. I like the way that they kind of tie everything in together. It does put a little thought process on you at the end of it. Do you do things for yourself or do you do things for other people's happinesses, and where do you find that balance at in your own life? And like Nathaniel said with how far is history, I think that's a really cool piece that they threw in there. And they're saying that it's is that the biggest downfall of rain that it's happened in 100 years, 50 years, and 800 years? Like, how long has that actually been? And then sooner or later you find out Tokyo was actually underwater at some point. And so is taking the selfish route actually a better way to go, because that's how things were, and now you're kind of having to regrow everything. And it's really cool because at the end of it you do see a lot of really pretty scenery, the trees that are kind of growing up around the buildings and the vines that are growing up fences. And it just goes to show you that, like, Mother Nature's trying to live, and sometimes we get in the way of that kind of stuff. And so there's a ton of stuff in this movie that you could definitely hit on, but overall, I think they did a really good job at not going too far into a certain portions of life, and they still obviously make you ask a lot of questions to yourself, but really well done. I like the voice acting. I think they nailed it pretty well as far as like age goes, and they were obviously really good at putting the emotion that they needed into it. And then again, the water's incredible. The way they get the light in there at certain points, the way it looks like fish laying on the ground and people are taking pictures of it, and it's really, really cool. And then the cheeseburger. Can't forget about the cheeseburger.
How about
So
that? How about the dish she makes with the crunched up potato chips and the egg too?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That egg.
I would pretty much eat anything that if you get me in Tokyo, I'm gonna say yes to everything.
Yeah. I'm down to try everything in Tokyo for sure.
Yeah. So I mean, even when you open up that Big Mac box, the bun kind of rises, and it's like, oh, and I was like, man, that looks good. I don't even like Big Macs, so
Yeah.
Hey, real quick on this, I was caught off guard when it started, and it was dubbed. Maybe I just forgot. Is your name dubbed or subbed?
They're both.
They have them both. Yeah, both.
Okay.
I
And
think if I remember correctly, I think you said you bought it on Vudu and you bought the dubbed version.
okay, right. And then HBO Max, it only offered the dubbed version.
Yes.
Did it? Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I was wondering. I was like, when started? I was like, oh, I could have sworn this. I was just surprised it was dubbed. I just assumed it would be subbed, you know?
Sure.
So, just curious.
I feel like
yeah,
this
actually,
one.
the sub in this one is very good. But go ahead, Nathaniel.
Yeah, I feel like Weathering with You also like flirts with a little bit more kind of darker content in some ways than Your Name does too.
Oh yeah.
Not that Your Name technically you have the death of an entire town, but just like the stuff with the gun and and all that is just a much more direct threat. And like Tokyo is
and also
much
like
grimier.
underage prostitution.
Yeah. Like Tokyo is a much seedier place in Weathering with You than it is in Your Name too. I just got to the part in the movie that's playing in the background where the ring drops down. That's still a rough scene as well.
yeah.
Nathaniel, something you talked to me, I don't know if it was on pod at some point or maybe off pod, but you talked about how Weathering with You and Your Name show two very different sides of Tokyo, which is kind of something you were just talking about. But like you have the kind of more the underbelly, or slummier sides, and then in Your Name it's portrayed as kind of like this oasis, this like bustling city. That's very advanced everything, and just very cool to see that one director portray that in two different ways. And I don't know if you would agree with this comparison, but it kind of reminds me of Alfonso Cuarón and how he kind of portrays the different sides of Mexico. And
yeah, I would say Cuarón's another one. Scorsese's another big one as well too. And Scorsese in New York, he's constantly kind of finding different ways to photograph that city. For sure. But yeah, I think a lot of times you'll see artists do that. They kind of focus on, one area or just different interests and kind of try and see it from a bunch of different sides. Obviously with Your Name, Your Name and Weathering with You, you obviously have the much more tangible link of actually having characters cross over from one to another too, which means that like storyline wise too, it technically goes like beginning of Your Name, most of Weathering with You, and then some of Your Name, and then end of Weathering with You, and then end of Your Name again. And if I could recall correctly, at the end of Your Name, it is sunshine there. So at some point, something must get fixed.
is that how those timelines line up?
I think technically Your Name, the end of Your Name is the last thing. Canonically, but
Really?
Yeah, because when we see the Your Name characters in
that's right. It's when they both
in
move to
Weathering with
Tokyo,
You,
but they
they're both
haven't
living
run
in
into each
Tokyo,
other.
yeah, but they haven't run into each other yet.
Okay. Well, Tokyo is also not underwater at the end of Your Name, so
which either
that makes
means the ending of Your Name takes place like in those like 2 days when Hina is ascended, or at some point the world gets fixed
okay.
again.
You know what I just realized isn't towards the end of Your Name when they're on the bridge, is it raining or snowing in that scene?
Snowing. I'm pretty sure it's winter.
Because there is that midsummer
Yeah.
snow scene.
Yeah.
Maybe that's where it lines up.
Who knows?
It could be.
But anyways, yeah. So as I was kind of saying, you get that kind of mirroring effect in these two movies where they have kind of those characters that cross over too. I like that he's always making old people these weird sources of wisdom too. That's always a very nice trait. Obviously, you get the grandma in Your Name and the grandma in this one as well too. I really like the Natsumi character. I think that joke play is funny, with him just assuming that she's the mistress for like the majority of their friendship. I don't know. It's just both of these movies are it kind of in contrast to I think like what we've watched a lot of recently. They're not afraid to wear their heart on their sleeves at all.
Definitely.
Yep. I agree.
They're so fun. I want more from this director, and in fact, I'm probably going to go try to watch some of his backlog if I can, because he started making movies in like the early 2000s.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, what else has he done? Has he done all? Are they all like anime?
Yeah, they're all
Same style,
animated.
or okay.
Very similar from what I can tell. Obviously, the more recent ones, like this is his most recent movie, but obviously these more recent ones are going to have the better animation between Your Name and Weathering with You.
Right.
His first IMDb credit as a writer and director is She and Her Cat. Their Standing Points is a video short in '99, so that's kind of where it starts. One I've actually heard about before from, I don't actually remember where, but it's called 5 centimeters per second, which is kind of like a short film-ish. It's about 60 minutes, I think. It's summer free online as well, but that was from 2007. And then they have, I think, Nathaniel, you mentioned, is it The Garden of Words is the other one that you're familiar with, or at least somewhat familiar with?
Well, the teacher in Your Name is one of the main characters in the Garden of Words, very similar to this. But yeah, I think that kind of like kicked off his trilogy thing.
Gotcha. So yeah, he's got some in the backlog there that I'll hopefully try to check out.
Tyler,
coming days.
did Leah end up watching this one with you?
She did not. Because of the late decision, I couldn't. We couldn't line it up. I had to watch this when I got home yesterday because I wouldn't have time today because I knew I closed today. So I had to watch it last night while she was studying/sleeping.
Well, we had good weathering with you weather today when it was raining very heavily for a short
It's raining
amount of
right now
time.
for me, actually. It's starting to thunderstorm.
Oh, there
I
you
think
go.
our Weathering with You talk has brought on rain.
I think we're supposed to get it again around midnight.
There you go.
One final question here before we head out of spoilers. Do you guys think you would have liked this more than Your Name had you seen it before you saw Your Name? Because I think I brought this up on pod when I showed both Your Name and Weathering with You to a bunch of my friends last year. And one of them, who hadn't seen either, we decided, hey, let's watch Weathering with You first to see, how that affects which one he likes more. And he ended up liking Weathering with You more than Your Name because we showed it to him first. I don't know if that's the sole reason. It might have just hit for him better, but the only time I've tried that, it turned out the opposite way. So do you guys think it would have happened for you if you watched this one first?
I definitely think there's a certain amount of diminishing returns, of like once experiencing someone's style that's so kind of new for you, and then the second time you kind of know a little bit more what you're in for. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I would like one more than the other.
I don't think it would change for me.
I think I flip back and forth between the two either way.
Yeah, Your Name is... Yeah, go ahead, Blake.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, I think it's plausible just off kind of what Nathaniel was saying, where that first time I saw Your Name, I was just pleasantly surprised because I've never seen anything like that before. Whereas going into this, I'm like, okay, I'm sure I'm going to like the art style again, right? You kind of get an idea of what's going on. So it's kind of hard to tell which one I would prefer. I have too much biasness in that.
Totally fair. All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for our spoiler talk here. So welcome back, listeners who skipped over the spoiler segment. We're going to go ahead and rank Weathering with You up upon the Entropy list. For those of you who do not know, the Entropy list is Back Row Banter's official list of every movie we have reviewed, regardless of genre, regardless of anything else, all on one fantastic list. This is essentially how we rate our movies rather than do it out of 5 stars, out of 10, whatever it is. We throw up all the movies we review and see how they compare to one another. If you'd like to reference the Entropy list for yourself, you can do so by checking the episode description where it is linked to my Letterboxd. Entry number 70 upon the Entropy list. 70 movies. That's a lot. That's a lot of movies, guys.
Certainly is.
Yeah. The obvious comparison to throw it up against is Your Name, which currently sits at number 10 on the Entropy list. Very high up there.
I forgot how high that was.
Yeah. So I will kick it to... I'm going to kick it to Blake first. see where he thinks that compares.
Okay. Let me pull the list up real quick for you. Yep, we got Your Name 10. Soul's kind of a ways down. Frozen 2 is a ways down. A little different, but not live action. This is tough, fellas. I think I'm gonna go. I like it. I think I'll go 33.
33. That's wow. That's a lot lower than I was expecting there. So
Really?
below A Quiet Place, above Halloween 2018.
Yep.
Okay.
I think just for to not be live action, I think Your Name's better. I like Soul a little bit more as well, and I like Frozen 2 a little bit more. So that's just kind of how I was basing it off of.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's just kind of me talking aloud. So open to what you guys have it at, and we can chat it up to see where we got to land at.
Yeah. Tyler?
I think I got to agree here.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, just looking at the overall list, we've added some, some pretty decent ones in there with like Shang-Chi, obviously Your Name kind of did some really great things. But yeah, I think everything that we've kind of watched so far, I think 33 is actually probably where I would have put it.
Okay. So 2 for 33. Nathaniel, you say Your Name and Weathering with You are pretty tied. How close are you getting there?
Closer. Not as close as maybe I would have felt had we done like this movie right after Your Name.
Mhm.
But still, I was surprised looking back on this how much more I was affected by it, or how much I was, I guess I should say, how much I was affected by it, even though I've seen this film, I think, twice before. It's still really good at making you, of getting under your skin and making you feel all those feelings and taking you on that story with that character. So I'm going to put this at 23. Directly
23.
above Deadpool, directly below the Suicide Squad.
Okay. That's not too far off from where I had it. I personally am going to put it at 20. That's going to be below The Conjuring and above Boys in the Hood. That little area between Shang-Chi and Kill Bill Volume 2, solid movies for sure, but this still hits home for me very, 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 very well. Like, I just really like this a lot, of course. As a successor to Your Name, it still is very close to that in quality and everything like that. So I'll probably place it there at 20. So let's see what the average is there, because
27.
27. I can live with that. I can live with that. So 27 would put it below Dr. Sleep and above Paid in Full, which is actually, that's a pretty good spot for it, I would say.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'm cool with it there.
Cool with it there. All right. Well, then we have Your Name. Sorry. Wow, not Your Name. We have Weathering with You. Weathering with You slotted in at number 27 on the Entropy list.
I'm just going through the list. It looks good. It's a good looking list.
Yeah. Yeah, it is a great looking list. I'd love to get some more anime on there, actually.
Yeah, I'm down for that.
Like anime films, we can get some Miyazaki on there, of course. There are definitely plenty to choose from there that would probably rank pretty high if I had to guess. So
yeah, I'd co-sign that. I think we can even try to get some more foreign films on here.
Yeah. Maybe Train to Busan.
It's always a good one.
I guess we don't have that on there, but yeah,
which I heard is
like
getting in. I heard it's getting an American remake because people just can't watch foreign films.
Which is just such bullshit. Grow up.
I don't want that for sure. I agree.
Yeah, I don't either. That's stupid, but it is what it is. All right, well, that's going to do it for the review there. Next week review is going to be... it's undecided. Wait, yeah, Tyler. it's your pick, man.
I'll let you know, like, by tomorrow at the latest, so we can post about it.
Well, I need to know tonight by the earliest, because gotta edit it.
All
right. Well,
I'll-
sounds like regardless, it's time for post pod Adam to cut in here. So say hello to him.
Hello, Adam.
Hey, Nathaniel. And hey, listeners, it's Post Pod Adam coming at you with the update on what we're watching next week. Tyler has selected The Greatest Showman as his birthday pick. That is currently streaming on Disney+, so go ahead and watch it there, and then join us for our review next week. Bye, Nathaniel.
Goodbye, Adam. There, you can
Goodbye,
have
listeners.
one.
All right.
You can have one on either side there.
Okay. Thanks for that. All right. So yeah, go check out whatever Tyler chose. It is his birthday week this upcoming week. What day is your actual birthday?
27th.
Monday.
27th.
27th.
So that
31.
Yeah.
31.
Yeah.
3-1.
So yeah, go check out whatever it is Tyler decides on. And join us next week for that review. Hopefully that one does not change, but if it does, you can, figure out if it does change by following us on Twitter at Banter Row, on Instagram at Back Row Banter Pod, and on YouTube we're just Back Row Banter. And then the email for any questions, comments, concerns, grievances, anything of the sort, especially your little banter questions for maybe some post pod conversation. Those are much appreciated. Send any of that stuff our way at backrowbanterpod@gmail.com, and share the podcast, of course. Share with a friend, a family member, maybe a friend who's going through some traumatic spiritual experiences involving the weather.
Could be. If you've got a friend like that, let them, maybe talk to them and see if they could do something about the weather first.
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe it's the It Follows curse. You can just keep passing along the rain girl powers. And then everyone can take a turn. And then everyone will be cool.
Tell your rain friend to go share it with all the water people.
Well, that's the idea. Is each person that's actually how you pass it along. Is you give them our episode to listen to.
Ah, okay.
And then once they've listened to that, they gain the rain powers, and then that's obviously how you have to keep it going.
I see. Makes sense. Of course.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, Blake, where can the people find you at, my man?
Letterboxd, BlakeHolder. I'll be on there logging some things. I hate myself. I didn't log anything. I didn't log any reviews for Malignant. And as you guys know, me and Adam were pretty high on that. So I think I'm gonna go back and see if I can jot some stuff down for there. Yeah,
An
I know
infamous
that
episode.
This looks good, but I saw it at 30, and I'm just like, oh man.
Still thinking about that movie.
Yeah, I think Malignant at 30 is more upsetting to me than where we got The Descent at.
It's now at 31.
Oh yeah, and that says a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's where you can find me, BlakeHolder. We'll go ahead and we'll pass it to Ty.
Hey guys, you can find me at twitch.tv/El Trabajo, ELTRABAJO 87. I have been trying to do that a little bit more, so join us. Sometimes I send out a snap if you're on my Snapchat, and all you gotta do is follow the link. It's dope. And Instagram, Letterboxd, and Twitter, all Tyler Vidalis, BIDALES, Adam.
You can find me on Twitter at Aish24 and on Letterboxd at Aish. That's it for me. Nathaniel, close us out on the plugs.
Yo, you can find me on Twitter and Letterboxd at NSGingrick. You can find me on Instagram at NathanielG92. Follow my other podcast, Sandpiper Tapes. Season 2 coming out sometime in October. It's looking like a 3-part or three episode season, I think this year. Last year was 5. This year looking 3, but we'll see. Keep you in the loop. And that's it. Adam, take us home.
Yeah, that's it for episode 71. Join us next week, of course, for whatever Postpod Adam told you to watch. Thank you guys for listening. We'll be RB.
Hey, everyone, be excellent to each other, and we'll be RB.
Thanks for stopping by, as I say, every week. And please like, comment, subscribe, do whatever you do to help us grow. We appreciate anything and everything. Talk about us poorly or negatively. It's all good for us. We appreciate it. And thanks for stopping by. and be good to one another. You never know where anybody's at in their journey, and yeah, just love everybody. ELE will be RB.
Appreciate the listen. Click, download, subscribe, whatever needs to be done. All that stuff goes a long way. Greatly appreciated as always. Outside of that, everybody have a good week. Keep it pushing and stay positive. We'll be RB.
America. Ready for another lesson.
My 13 Pro Max is in the mail.
Oh yeah.
I
It's up
Good treat
there.
to stay up all night.
we are friends, but I do not care. With all due respect.
Of course. Yeah, no, with all due respect. No, I just had to get up early. The pre-orders go live or went live at 7 a.m. and I woke up at 7:30.
What color did you get?
Sierra blue. Sticking with the blue. I have the Pacific blue now, which I actually like a lot and wish it was the same, but
The Pacific Blue is the 12, right?
correct. Yeah, that's the blue version for the 12 Pros.
Yeah, that's what I got
Yeah, I love this color.
for sure.
It's a great blue. And then the Sierra blue, I wasn't thrilled with in the beginning as I was watching the announcement press conference, as every dedicated Apple fan does, and thought about it for a few days. I was very close to pulling the trigger on the silver color, and then I thought about it a little bit, and the Sierra blue just kept growing on me, so I went back to it.
Trying to look
It's
at the
giving me
colors now.
What did you say?
So I'm trying to look at the colors now.
It's the same gold. It's the same gold, graphite, and silver, and then Sierra blue is the fourth color.
There's a red one too.
That's for the 13. Yeah, so they have the 13. I'm talking about the pros. Sorry. So
Oh,
the 13s
sorry.
have
There's a snake
5 or
in
6
my
colors.
boat.
And then the pros have 4.
Green Bay better pull this shit off. I'm fucking mad.
Yeah, dude, you and one of my other buddies from college, he's from Wisconsin, are
Bro.
huge Packers fans. So yeah, that's if you guys lose the Lions, that's tough because the Lions are like historically bad
Last week was just
every year.
fucked.
Yeah, I could imagine, dude. That's the first time you guys lost that bad, and
Oh man, in such a long time.
yeah, that's got to be easily 5-6 years, if not longer than that.
Well, I mean, we got worked by Tampa Bay before the Super Bowl last year,
Okay, right.
but
Damn.
that was a good team. They
Yeah.
still are a really good team. As far as like the Saints go, especially without Drew Brees, we got fucking wrecked.
Yeah, for sure.
That was an
Nobody
ass
saw
whooping.
that coming.
No.
That sucks, Adam. I don't like any of the new pro colors that
You
much. No.
You're not a
as-
fan of the Sierra blue?
I really like. I have the green. And I really like the green.
Ooh, that's a good green. Yeah, that one's good.
So that just
Green's my
bums me
favorite
out.
color.
Is it?
It is.
That makes sense.
I think.
Nathaniel, I
could be
hate
the
to
mystery
say it,
machine.
but Adams seems to be the only one that could get open right now.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
I was talking to Nathaniel.
My Adam's what?
I said Adams is the only one that looks like he can get open right now.
I'm confused.
He's talking about the Packers
Devontae
game.
Adams.
Oh,
like Adam
oh,
in the Discord.
God, that really threw me off.
It threw me off too. I was like, you can't open my what?
It's all good.
Don't worry, I'm with you, Ty.
It's my bad.
Thank
That's
God
what we
Blake
both
was
had the game
there.
on.
Yeah, we probably both had the game on, and we were just talking about.
Yeah,
football.
I switched over to weathering with you. I put football behind
Is
me.
it weathering with you or weathering you?
Weathering with you.
Yeah, weathering
Alright.
with you.
You did watch the movie, right?
Yeah, I just didn't really pay attention to the title.